Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being a subscriber. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about two movies that really surprised me. One in a really bad way and one in a really great way. Let's get into it. So the two movies I'm going to talk about today are Passenger, which is a relatively new movie, and a slightly newish movie, which is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I know The Mummy's been out for a minute and I'm a little late for that one, so I'm sorry about that. Bear with me. So first, let's talk about Passenger. If I was going to compare Passenger to other movies, I would put it in the same group as the movie Tarot and the movie Countdown. So if you're wondering what type of movies you might compare this one to, those are just some of the vibes that I got from this movie. So Passenger and its description really hooked me in pretty much instantly. When I started watching the trailer, I was like, ooh, this sounds spooky and interesting. So the premise of the movie, just so you kind of have an idea what it's about, it is this couple who is living in a van. They're basically doing the whole van life situation. And they just happen to go down this one dark road, happen upon the wrong accident, and happen to pick up the passenger. So it's basically like almost like a urban legend type situation is the vibe that I got from it. And they pick up this quote unquote passenger who is like an entity. And I will tell you, there are a lot of things this movie gets right, and then there's a lot of things that it gets wrong. So first, on the things that I gauge a movie by is the trailer test. So the trailer test is basically my gauge on whether or not I think that a movie delivered based on what I saw in the trailer. This one for me, I gotta say guys, was a fail, unfortunately. I think that the trailer really gives you this ominous, super creepy vibe, and had the movie delivered all the way through on that, then I would have 100% back it for passing the test. However, because it doesn't really entirely carry that same thing that it promises in the trailer throughout the movie for me, that's why I just had to give it a fail. It didn't really give you everything that you're promised in the trailer. So be warned on that. On that note, if you happen to be a sleepy movie watcher and need to be 100% engaged while you are watching a movie, or you have a significant other or movie watching buddy who happens to be of that variety, then this next test is for you, and it is what I call the husband sleep test. So it is just a little gauge that I use based on my husband in particular, because he's one of those type of movie watchers, on whether or not this movie is going to either be a snooze fest for you or is it going to keep you engaged. Passenger unfortunately failed the husband sleep test, and I can tell you why. It is because there are aspects throughout the middle of it that just completely drop the ball on that super ominous, creepy buildup that it does deliver in the beginning. I did read a few reviews that were reminiscent of how I felt after I watched the movie, and they basically said that the first 45 minutes of the movie are great, and then it kind of just goes downhill and stays that way. I have to agree with that, and it's because there's just so much that could have been really, really great in this movie had they really just kept up a certain aesthetic. And also the scoring. The scoring really affected this one for me. I can't tell you how important scoring is. It is something that you really have to pay attention to for movies. For example, just play a score for a movie, any movie that you happen to like, and just kind of pick up on the vibes that that gives you. For example, a very well-scored movie that everyone pretty much recognizes almost instantly is Willy Wonka. That is a really well-known score for a movie, and the theme songs and the little theme tunes throughout the movie really capture exactly how that movie kind of makes you feel. Horror movies, to a certain extent, are the same way. For example, Insidious does a beautiful job of that exact thing. As soon as you hear that shrieky violin, you know exactly what movie you're watching, and it's brilliant. So scoring is incredibly important, and it can completely pull you out of a serious or scary scene, at least it does for me. And this movie in particular just had some really out there and random scoring at certain parts that just to me made no sense whatsoever and just took you completely out of the entire scary vibe. I don't know if they did that intentionally, if they wanted it to not be as scary. I really don't know. But I really have some questions on that because I don't understand it. And it really took the movie down several notches because of that. Hand in hand with that is the fact that the movie does slow down in some places where it really didn't need to. And they could have just done a lot less like storytelling and intertwining of things and really still delivered a great movie. And honestly, don't be afraid of a bad ending. I mean, sometimes those can take a movie from mid to great. A good example of that is The Mist. I will die on that hill that The Mist is one of those movies that the ending, and because it's a bad ending, really just takes that one up a notch, and it also makes it memorable. And sometimes you just need a bad ending because it leaves you shocked, sometimes confused, but it keeps you talking about it. In movies kind of with this particular kind of plot, that can really help. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion maybe as an alternative or change to this one. Could have been a bad ending. But because it does go such a lull at points, I would say that that is really the biggest factor to blame on why it failed the husband sleep test. On a similar note to that is the balance test. So this is basically where I am thinking about a movie's pacing. Was it too slow? Did it dwindle in a lot of places where it didn't need to? Was there random things that I think were like filler that really weren't necessary or add anything to the plot? Passenger failed the balance test. And I would say in large part, that is because there are some scenes where they try to do this same trope that they do in a lot of horror movies where it's like the seeking of knowledge or a way out of whatever is going on, and you seek out someone to try to get help or information, and really it's to no avail, or it just kind of goes in a roundabout way to cause another death or shock moment, and it really doesn't necessarily add to the movie, and I think they should have trimmed some of that. Next is, would I recommend you go and see this in theaters? For most movies, I think that you should make up your own mind. If a trailer piques your interest enough and you really want to go see it, go see it. All of our opinions are different. They're all subjective, and they are based on exactly what we like, what we have experienced, and those things vary greatly. So I may love a movie, you may hate it. You may hate a movie, I may love that movie. So it really all depends. The other thing about it is perspective. There are some times when certain aspects to someone's opinion, when they raise a certain point that you may have not thought about, it can open up your mentality or thought process on how you felt about that movie. Does it change it? Not necessarily. However, it can expand your horizons, I guess, on your opinion on a movie sometimes. I do like going into the Reddit threads and into the IMDb reviews for that reason, because it's just interesting to see what people's takes are, how their opinions differ, and why. So if you were a friend of mine and you asked me if you should go see this movie, I would likely tell you wait for it to stream, only because I really don't think that this one was good enough to be like, yeah, go and check it out in theaters. It was great. You'll love it. I have to really, really like a movie in order to put that kind of recommendation behind it. And the main reason for that is because I know we're all spending a good amount of money when we go to these movie theaters, not just on the tickets themselves, but on concessions. I think the other day I went and only bought 2 sodas for me and my husband, and it was like $14, which is craziness. But anyway, that being said, we all have to be a lot more cautious about how we spend our money these days. I'm aware of that. Because of that, I tread a little bit more lightly on when I recommend something. So personally, I'd wait for streaming and just see it when it comes out on either a platform you already have or something along that line, or if you just happen to want to watch it on a rental, then go ahead and do that. Similarly, would I rewatch this one or buy it for my personal collection? I would say that I would rewatch it, but caveat, I would watch it for free on a streaming platform or something along that line. I really didn't like the ending, or basically where it dropped off in the middle. Some of the points just really drug this movie down, and I don't think that I'd want to rewatch it enough to warrant buying it. Now, all this being said, I will say there are some extremely memorable, scary moments in this movie that are pretty cool. So I do recommend seeing it if you want to see it, only because it does deliver on some super creepy, like, you'll think about them next time you're walking to your car in a dark parking lot type of scenario. And when a movie can do that, I do think that that is a perk point for sure. There are some scenes that I think were done just really, really well. I just really wish that they had kept it more dark and scary, and that they had not used some of the music or songs that they chose. It just took me out of it and kind of lost me along the way toward the end, where I was just like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over and move on. Ultimate question, what did I rate this movie? I rate my movies 1 out of 10. I rated it a 5 out of 10. I felt like 4 was just a smidge too low because there are some really, really great creepy moments. There is a scene, like I just mentioned, in a parking lot that is pretty memorable and has a kind of a dark Twilight Zone feel. And then there's also this scene where the couple is in the woods and they're watching a movie on a projector screen and some really creepy things happen. On the other hand, when I think of rating a movie, when I think of a 6 makes it at least to where I probably may want to eventually buy it. It may grow on me. This one, I just can't see that happening. If you watch this movie and you agree, disagree, whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Moving on to the next movie. This one is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I gotta tell you guys, this one really shocked me. I was not prepared. I did go in semi-blind because I sort of saw a teaser trailer. It wasn't so much an actual trailer. When I hear The Mummy or anything kind of mummy related, my brain automatically goes to Brendan Fraser and that version of The Mummy. I don't think scary and I don't think horror. So that is why it took me a long time to really want to watch this movie. And then I saw that it was actually the same people who brought us Weapons. Weapons is a great, great horror movie. And so those things piqued my interest and made me think, okay. And I've heard some buzz online about this movie and I was like, well, let me see what's going on, because some people just kind of kept griping that it wasn't what they expected and they didn't like it when they went to see it. And those kind of things actually make me want to watch something. I know that's weird, but it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, really, what's wrong with it? Is it really that bad? Or, you know, what's going on? So it piqued my interest. And man, oh man, I'm glad I did. And I'm glad I get to talk to you guys about it. For the trailer test, the teaser that I saw, it did pique my interest. However, like I said, because my expectations were not, I guess, prepared for what I actually got when I watched the movie, I think that this one was a pass. But once I actually watched the trailer after I watched the movie, which I honestly recommend watching teasers versus trailers, because a teaser will give you like a tiny little snippet of the movie but not really tell you entirely what it's about. I enjoy those because they give you like a little nugget version of what you might get in the movie, but it doesn't spoil a lot of things, and I tend to prefer those. If a movie piques your interest just based on what it's about, like description wise, then I recommend watching a teaser and then going from there, and then maybe going back to watch the trailer afterward to decide for yourself whether you think it delivered on what they offered in the trailer. I do think that this one absolutely delivers on what you get in the trailer, if not more. There is so much to this movie that it's a lot. So without spoiling a lot about it, I will give you guys just enough to let you know kind of what I compare it to as far as other movies. I would compare it to if you combined Evil Dead and The Possession. Those are kind of the two movies that really come to mind the most when I think of this movie. And yeah, that's really the best way I can put it without spoiling a lot of the scenes in it. If someone had described this movie to me that way, I think I would have seen it a lot sooner. The Mummy passed the husband sleep test, and I will tell you that there are some wild moments in this movie. It does have some slow moments. It never lost me though, because it's kind of a mystery wrapped in possession, wrapped in Evil Dead vibes. And because of that, And because I wanted to figure out exactly what was going on along with some of the characters, it kept me engaged. I wanted to know what was going to happen. I wanted to know what they were going to find out and just kind of how it all played out. And it managed to do that really well. So it passed both the husband sleep test and it passed the balance test, because even though there were some slow moments, I think that they fed into the story just enough and it still kept me engaged and interested. So I appreciated it for that. Would I recommend you watching this one in theaters? I think that this one is definitely theater worthy. It has some bonkers, crazy moments. Although, if you are someone who is squeamish for the Evil Dead movies, or for gore, or for other really just off-putting things, if you can't really handle those things and you'd prefer to watch those types of movies at home, then this one might be a watch at home for you. On that same note, would I rewatch or buy this movie? 1000% yes, I would rewatch and buy this movie. Why? Because it's interesting. It had some great acting. It is gory and weird and crazy and creepy in a lot of really good and unexpected ways. There was actually a point where I startled my husband a little bit because I was like just freaking out over a scene. And when you see this movie, it is a bathroom scene involving the clipping of something. That's as much detail as I'll give you. Because any more and I'll probably either make someone grossed out or I will gross myself out. But if you see the movie and you see this scene, please let me know in the comments what you thought of that and if it freaked you out. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Overall, what would I rate The Mummy? I would rate Lee Cronin's The Mummy a solid 7 out of 10. Because there are those slow moments and the parts that just kind of drag a little bit, that if they had cut some of that and made it more action-packed in those scenes, then it could have definitely been an 8 or a 9. However, regardless though, it is still a great movie to watch if you are a person who has watched The Possession or watched Evil Dead and you like them. Highly recommend checking this movie out. You won't regret it. I am currently working on a couple of videos for you guys. I went to Universal Studios recently and also visited the brand new Epic Universe, and I took a lot of footage, so I wanted to make sure and let you guys know what I thought of it, if I think that it's worth going to, or kind of what my biggest areas of positives or negatives are for it. So that way, if you're thinking about or considering that as a vacation option, then it's something that you can take into consideration. Another thing that I did recently was I participated in Texas Frightmare Weekend, and that is a horror convention that has all kinds of booths for vendors that do basically everything horror related, from retail merchandise that they resell to individual things that are made by artists or other people who create things like earrings or bags or other things along that line. There are also a lot of celebrity meet and greets there, and I will talk to you guys about that one as well, so that way if it's something you were curious about or interested in, or just want to see some footage of what it looked like to go there, then you will be able to see those soon. If you are not a subscriber yet, definitely think about hitting that subscribe button. But most of all, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. So that way I know you like the content and keep making it for you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.